I'm your host, Kelly Morgan, indie author and indie publisher. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. Welcome to today's episode. Hey everybody, Kelly Morgan here, indie author, indie publisher, and this is another episode of The Author's Mic. And you already know what day it is. It's Monday because I have a guest. Oh my God, I cannot say and emphasize enough how thrilled I am when people actually take me up on my offer to share this platform with me. I truly mean it. And so today I have somebody who did just that. He is author Jeff Loving. He has written a book, Holding On to the Light, and he's going to tell us all about the book and kind of his journey. And so, Jeff, I'll just first of all welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the Author's Mic. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thank you again for the opportunity. I love this platform and I'm so grateful to be here.
Yeah, 100%. So I always kind of get everybody started by asking kind of the general question is most authors, indie authors, don't say when I grow up I want to be an indie author, right? You just kind
Yep.
of stumble into it or something happens where you're compelled to not only write a story but then publish the story. So tell us the journey on how you got to this book and why you decided to actually publish it and share it with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little bit of background on me. When I went to college, I actually got an English education degree. So I have a background as being an English teacher, and I've always loved writing. Like I've always dreamed of becoming a published author and that be my full-time job. Like that is my dream job is just to travel the world and just write and publish books every day, all day, every day. Um, and so actually I published my first novel back in 2017 when I was still teaching. It's a historical fiction book called The Drink Worth More Than Gold. It's all about the underground wine network in France and everything. And I loved that book, and it was my first stepping into publishing world and everything. But recently, I actually, like you mentioned, I wrote Holding On to the Light. Um, and this book is definitely a changing gears from a historical fiction. Um, it is, in a way, my form of therapy because unfortunately, my wife and we actually went through two infancy losses in November 2021 and then December of 2023. And during those losses, I personally just felt like I needed to write something, but I didn't know what to write after our first loss with our son Davian. And I was like, I don't know how to put my feelings onto the page, but I knew I wanted to write something. So when we lost our second son, Jaden, um, I remember sitting in the hospital and we were about to get discharged, and I was kind of just thinking, I was like, I just feel like I need to write a story of some sort. And I took that month of December of 2023 and I just kind of sat down and just thought back to what our journey was up to that point. And honestly, it was a lot of missing support for my side of the
Mm.
loss. My wife, she was so supported and I loved that. And I loved watching all the people and the doctors and the nurses and having so many resources available to her. Like, hey, you have this brochure or this place or therapy. Like I had therapy opportunities as well, and I took it up on them. But something I noticed in both of our losses was I had one book that I was offered. Um, and she had like hundreds, and I had one, and it wasn't even like our situation. It was I think it's called Lament for a Son, and it's basically a guy who loses his son when the son's like 20 something years old. I was like, that doesn't apply to me. I understand the concept, but it doesn't apply to me. And I knew after our second loss, I was like, I need to write a book for fathers of loss that we just need more resources. And so that's what I set out to do. I was just like, what can I do to add to the resource pool that it's not your run-of-the-mill like self-help book These are the five things that you're going to do to improve your life after a loss like that. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be more real, more raw, just my emotions on the page, because I feel like as men, we don't know how to put our emotions on the like out there most times. Even in therapy, it's hard to like come to the conclusion of like, this is what I'm actually feeling, and this is what I am expressing. So what I did with this book, and it's right here. Oh, it's there it is. So this, oh, it's a little blurry,
I see
but
it. Yeah.
so basically in the book, what I did was I took um three fathers that we know personally, three couples who have all experienced different losses. Um, and I took their stories and I kind of made it into a fiction. The stories of their losses I did not touch, but the framework around them is what makes it a fiction novel. So basically, the concept of the story is this father of loss is experiencing his first loss. I mean, in the first chapter is genuinely like the names are different, but it was literally our first loss. Like it was just as if I was outside looking in. It was
Right.
literally us in the hospital room. That first chapter is exactly the conversations that went down in that first hospital room. And the character basically is a personification of my trauma and my grief, trying to walk through and trying to figure out like how do I move on with my life and better myself and to work through this grief. And so what I did was I took these three fathers, um, who have experienced loss from unexplained infertility, and they ended up adopting. And so it's the loss of never being able to have a biological child and what that's like for a dad. The second one was um, the IVF process and the moral and religious, um, like weighing on your heart of like, is this natural? Is this unnatural? Should we even do this? Is this by God's design? And it's just like the battle that I never even thought of it, honestly, until he told me that. And I was like, I didn't even think of that. Like, that's crazy that you were battling with that. And then the third one is a couple that we know that unfortunately had to go through the process of already having a Earthside child and then having the diagnosis of their current pregnancy being, or at the time, the current pregnancy being diagnosed with trisomy 18, and knowing that the pregnancy wasn't a matter of if the baby was going to survive, it was a matter of when were they going to pass away, and just living with that and living with that hardness of like my baby is going to eventually pass away. It could be today, it could be at week whatever. And just the hardness of like living in that and just walking through those hard conversations. And then at the very end of the book, or I guess in the middle of the book as well, is my my wrestling with my relationship with God. My wife and I are pretty outspoken Christians, and that's our lifestyle. That's how it's always been. But at the same time, I had some very real conversations with God, and I was like, "What the heck, man? Like, what is going on?" And I didn't pull my punches in the book, and like that was just my conversation. And at the very end, um, I tell our actual journey and our through both of our losses, what we experienced, what we walked through, and the amazing community that came around us, and just supported us through both of our losses. And it was a very healing book for me to write it,
Wow, it
because
sounds amazing. It sounds like I didn't realize that you had like three different stories in there, all kind of different scenarios, but all dealing
yeah,
with loss, right?
yep,
And how you deal with that. And you're right. When it comes to a loss of a child, you really think about the mom, right? The dad is there, but yeah, you're right. There's not probably never really thought about it because, I'm a mom, so
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
you don't really think about it until you're in it. And so are you hoping that if somebody is going through a loss, like at the hospital, that they'll hand them this book?
Absolutely. So one of the coolest things, two stories. One, there is a bereavement coach or bereavement coordinator, I guess you could say, at the local children's hospital here in Winston where we live. And she actually helped us walk through our second loss. And recently, we ran into her and she was like, I was able to give your book to a family and they were so appreciative of it because the dad didn't know what to do. And she was like, the fact that I got to hand them that book, but also to say, I know this couple and I was there for their second loss, like I know the heart behind this book was, oh my gosh, everything to me. I don't care about the sales. I don't care about any of that. I just care about, is this book going to help people? And that's what I want. And so that brings me to the second story. Um, we have a friend who lives up in Ohio. She has a pretty big platform on Instagram, and she did a review on the book. And she in her reel, she basically said like, even if you've never experienced loss yourself, but if you know somebody, consider sending it as a gift, even if it's anonymous. And I randomly got the book released back in February, and I got an Instagram message from this family. I'd never heard of them, no idea who these people are. And she was just like, "Hey, I just wanted to reach out. I found your Instagram via the book, um, and my husband, this is the first book that he's read in a decade, and he said that it was the first time since we lost our son, meaning them. They lost their son back in December of 2024. And he told his wife after reading my book, this is the first time that I've truly been able to put my emotions into words and have an actual conversation with her. And it opened the door for him to really start the healing process. And again, for me, if that was the only book I would ever sell and that was the reaction to it, I mission accomplished.
That would
Like
be enough.
that, yep, that would be enough. And that's
That is
just
cool.
that's my heart posture behind this book is just like if it is able to help just one father, it's worth it.
Yeah. And that when you're writing like that, when your book is on that type of platform and you have that type of mindset, it changes the way that you sell the book, that you present the book, that you talk about the book. It gives the book a whole different energy because you're truly not in it for the sales, you're in it to help. And that's why you wrote it. And it's really funny because writing is very, very therapeutic,
Yeah.
right? It definitely most people. I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, because I love to write too, I wrote some
Sure.
really bad poetry. You know, you're going through all your little teenage angst and everything, and so writing was my way to get through whatever I was going through,
Absolutely.
right? And so I get that where you felt compelled to write something because you needed to be able to express how you were feeling. So let me
Absolutely.
ask you this, Jeff. If somebody wanted to get the book, if they know somebody, if they want to give it to them, how do they go about getting it? Where can they find it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually took the Amazon KDP route this time around because I was like I could go through a traditional publisher again, but I just wanted to get the book out as soon as possible, honestly. So I went the KDP route. So honestly, it's available on Amazon. So you just go to Amazon, type in "Holding Onto the Light." It should be the very first option. And like I said, it's available there. It's on Kindle or in paperback. And so, and if you're local to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, like, and you want to have me come and autograph it for you, I'm more than welcome to do that too. But yeah,
Fantastic.
what's that?
I said fantastic. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly.
Right?
Yep,
So yeah, and
absolutely.
we'll make sure that all the links to the book are in the description,
For
as
sure.
well as if your Instagram, if somebody wants to connect with you
Yep,
personally.
absolutely.
It's always nice if when somebody reaches out and says that your book helped them. I know when you got that DM, it was like cool, right?
Yeah,
Mission
exactly.
accomplished, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, that
And
is
I actually
very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, So I've been on a couple of podcasts and I actually met with a gal up in Ohio, um, who runs basically it's a pregnancy loss support nonprofit, and she was like giving me ideas of like how I can continue writing, and so I actually created a Substack account. So I'll send that over to you too, but it's I basically have framed it to send out Monday newsletters of just walking through loss, grief, life after loss, pregnancy after loss, and just giving more credence to that conversation on a weekly newsletter basis. And
Nice.
so,
Substack is
yes,
nice. It's actually that's funny. That's one of the things that I talk about in my other podcast, Breaking the Algorithm, how Substack is kind of a really good thing for authors. I actually started my Substack too about a
yeah,
month
absolutely.
ago, and I put out stuff every Monday to make it kind of, non overwhelming and doable. And
Right.
so yeah, I will definitely subscribe to your Substack
Absolutely. I appreciate
and
that.
send me the stuff, and I'll make sure that it's in the link so that if somebody else wants to subscribe, they can as well. So let me go
Absolutely.
through my laundry list of stuff before I let you go.
Yeah.
If you are an author and you want to share this platform like Jeff, I swear to you, you guys, it can't be more easier. Go to my website, hit the be a guest link, fill out the information. You are a guest. It is truly that simple. Ask Jeff. Was it that
Yeah.
simple?
It was that simple.
It's
Yep.
that
Yeah,
simple.
it was that simple.
If you are writing a book and you're stuck, you don't know what to do, I have a guide. It's 44 pages. It's called So You Want to Write a Book. Free. Go download it. It won't help you write the book, but once you do, it tells you all the things that you need to know to get that book out there. If you want to support me, I have two books out there. Wait for it and You Sound White. They're both available on my website. I'll sign them. I'll ship them at no charge, and I've got some free goodies, but you can get them wherever good books are sold. And Wait for It is an audiobook. And lastly, if you are an author and you are looking for a book club to pitch, we have one. It's called the IRS. If you don't tell us about your book, we don't know about your book. All the information is on the website. And if you are a reader and you want to join the IRS, it's free. Go to the website. You'll see the link how to join the book club. So, Jeff, let me ask you this, and then I will let you go. What advice can you give to somebody who is really going through grief, right? And they just, grief is a weird thing, right? It's
Mm,
it's a it's a real weird thing. It's kind of hard to kind of express what it is in words, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
when somebody's going through that, when they're in that moment of just hopelessness, like, right,
Mm,
what can you tell them? What advice can you give them?
that's a great question. Honestly, something that was very important for me to realize early on, um, is that even though grief may present itself in similar ways as somebody else's story, nobody's story is ever going to be exactly the same. And to be willing to be okay with that, that your journey is not going to look, you're not going to be able to find a book that's going to be black and white. This is exactly what we're going through, and this is the steps that I took. It's the realization that my story is my own story, and I'm okay with that, but I'm willing to allow people in that are willing to come alongside me, to help me through that grief. And honestly, the biggest thing that I found to help us through our journey was the people that we surrounded ourselves with. Um, and to be very particular on who you let come alongside of you, because it's very easy to say like, oh, I have these best friends that can come beside me, they've been through everything, but ultimately it's like, will they actually be helpful? Are they going to say something that's going to trigger you? Are they going to be actually there for you when you need help? And it's just knowing your community and actually knowing your community are two different things. It's like if you have somebody that is willing to just come and sit with you and just not even say anything. That was honestly some of the best time for me when I was going through it. Was just somebody to just come sit with me. They don't need to say anything. They don't need to give me words. So I would say the advice would be just to understand like Your story is your own story, and that's okay. And it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for a while. But ultimately, it's gonna be those people that come around you that give you that support and show up for you and just show their love to you. And you're gonna make it out on the other side. It might take longer than others, but it's gonna eventually the scars never go away, but they do heal. And that's something that I hold on to a lot. And also to never compare yourself to another person's grief. That was also another thing that I learned, especially if you're in pregnancy loss. Um, Even if you had a loss at 20 weeks like we did, versus if you had a loss at 8 weeks, the 8 week loss is not diminished from somebody that had a further along pregnancy. It's like your grief is your grief, and it's okay to be able to carry that story because it's going to be a beacon of light or uh, a semblance of hope for somebody else eventually if you let it.